Uh, Alright. I should be live. Everything should be good. Probably. Maybe. Possibly. I'm gonna ping real quick and then we'll get it live. I don't have too much to talk about this podcast. Not gonna have any guests or anything either. It'll be fun though. Let's see. But yeah, I don't have anything too crazy to talk about. No crazy developments. I'll talk about a few things that I've been working on though. And we'll talk about a couple small things. Nothing too crazy. But we'll give it a second for everybody to be able to get in. I do have us live on YouTube as well. But I don't remember how that shit works. So maybe the old link still works. Beats me. We'll fuck with that later. Not really worried about it. But yeah. This is a fucking place. Wherever the hell we are. Is my audio back? Pog. I don't know why, but my headset lately has been going black and then my audio gets borked. Anyway, we got, I think, most of the people who are going to come in initially. So let's talk about some stuff. We'll go over the stats first and all that stuff. So looking at it, not much has changed since last week's episode. Member stats are about the same. Voice stats are about the same. No real point listing them off. You guys already heard them all. World stats. Hapu Foundation avatars, our main world, is at 123,000 visits. 3,446, 48 favorites. So really popping off, man. Hapu Foundation Avatar World Quest has 22,000 visits, 919 favorites. Hapu Foundation Avatar World, the new one for Quest, is at 175 visits and 10 favorites. Pog, 10 favorites. But yeah, they're the stats. Nothing crazy, not much to really note or talk about there. But yeah, if you guys have any topics or questions, by the way, go ahead and put them in the channel, Poicast topics and questions. I'd love to talk about some stuff, answer some stuff. That'd be great. But, yeah, as for general topics, you know, we'll cover some police stuff. I haven't been too into the police stuff the past week or so. That would be more an Estlo or Colby thing. But we're not going to talk about it in too much detail. We'll just talk about some stuff going into the police. Not necessarily anything too big yet. Pixel wants to talk about the next promotion wave. I haven't sat down and looked through that yet. So the way that the automatic system worked, it got borked for two reasons. One was my fault. One was an update to the system. And basically what I had going on got fucked up and broken. So only a little bit of the Poimotion system actually works properly. I would say half of it technically. But so you can get promoted up to a certain level currently automatically, dependent on certain criteria. But some of it doesn't work. Now, as for a promotion wave past those roles, that's definitely doable, but that takes a decent amount of time because I have to go in by hand and check everybody's stats and make sure everything's going right. Everybody's got the criteria, you know. But, you know, maybe in the next couple of months. I don't want to do it this month, maybe next month. I'm not too sure. We'll just have to see, I guess. Advertisement. That's not a topic or question. Bruh. Well, I guess I'll bring that up too. The Hapu News Network will be releasing the next issue of the Poi Times this month. The quality improves with each issue, but we still lack people. That's from Hori. The return of Pastor Blaze. We do have a wedding or two coming up, that's true. Roleplay weddings go brrr. It's something alright. But, yeah, so there's all that stuff. We talked about stats, we covered Poimotion stuff. What else is there to talk about? If anybody's been in the raids lately, the raids have been pretty fun lately. They've been different. I hosted a raid last night. That was cool. It was pretty fucking janky and weird. Like, I don't know. I like my weird bullshit that I do, but it was a fun time. And the way that the raids have been kind of regressing has been nice. Because having organization and structure to the raid, it makes everything so much more fun. Like, last night's raid, we only got a handful of conversions and a handful of people that came into the Discord, and that's fine. That's fucking dope, man. The whole goal was I hear myself. Thank you, Crispy. But yeah, the whole goal is, the experience itself, and in the end, we got that pretty well last night. That was good, and by the sound of it, a lot lately too. So, if you've been in the raids lately, it sounds like you guys have been having a lot of fun. I know I have when I've been hanging out. While saying all that, though, other stuff outside of raids and whatnot, I don't have too much to talk about development-wise. I've been working on a couple of systems that go into the whole intro to the Abyss stuff that I've been working on. The TLDR of what that is essentially just a giant book of us. Like a huge ass book of us. Lore, roleplay stuff. I don't know how to begin explaining it. What does this say? Hori says, what about dramatic reading of stats or Emperor style? I forget the Emperor style thing. I know we talked about it, but I forget exactly. I did read the stats already. At least a TLDR of them. Emperor style. I don't even know how I would go about doing that. That would be dope, though. But yeah, as for developments in that area, I don't know. What could I talk about? I've been working on the mandates of the Abyss. So, like, what that would be is, how we sanctioned, say, the police or certain beliefs or otherwise. You could think of it as roleplay lore in a sense. That's been a lot of what I've been working on, is roleplay lore. Stuff for, the police or for the Abyssal Order. Stuff that doesn't quite get to be used yet, but in the end it'll be pretty fucking fun when we can. Lots of puzzle piecing to put together too. But things have been going good in that area in general. We'll talk about the police first, though, before we go on to anything crazy. Oh. That was a noise. But yeah, so police stuff. Not too much has been going on with the police. Colby and Estlo, they've been working on the training jazz, all the training stuff. We need to have our trainers informed, the whole process of, A to Z. How are you going to become a police officer in training? That's what they're working on for the trainers, so they can train. That's a weird sentence. But yeah, so they've been working on all of that stuff. We've got two of the main models. Well, let me rephrase that. There would technically be three main models. but 2 of the 3 are done, or at least ready to be used. The squad leader ones, or the patrol leader ones, those aren't done yet. But we can do police stuff pretty much whenever we want to. We don't have a world yet, which is completely fine. We don't need a world for what we're going to be doing. And if we need to make arrests or whatever, we can also kidnap people to any of our existing worlds. So the police have the ability to operate. It's just a matter of getting them trained. Because in the end, we don't want people just going ooga booga bonk, you know? We need to, we can't have too many caveman noises for the police. The Hapus over here in the Foundation can be janky little bastards, but the police need to be a lot more professional. It's technically our first roleplay, proper roleplay. I'd consider rating roleplay. But, yeah, anyway. Tangents and tangents. So overall, I don't know when the police stuff is going to be ready. I'm not too sure. It's dependent on Eslo, Colby, and I. Because really the only thing that's left is getting the process for how we train people done. A lot of the written material is there, so people know like how they should kind of be acting. We have general guidelines, and we have our police orders out there. Now, they're not the most expansive or extremely detailed pieces of information, but that's fine. You get a very good idea of how we want people to act, you know, very friendly, if you're an officer anyway, very friendly, you know, kind of helpful and just fun and goofy, you know, playful with your police abilities and duties, while the enforcers are a little bit more murderous and like just, I don't know how I would explain those janky little bastards, but anyway, the goals of what we want are pretty well laid out and understandable. But yeah, so in the end, we'll just have to see how long it takes us. It's been a long time for the police, and I'm pretty happy with how things have been going. And we'll just have to see. It could be a week, it could be a month, it could be 10 seconds. I'm just kidding. 9, 8, no. Anyway, that's enough for the police for now, because I don't have too much to talk about outside of, there's 2 systems I say systems, there's 2 things that I've been working on that I want to do as a part of the role play. What's the word that I'm looking for here? We'll just call it roleplay. So in real life, we have DEF CON. I was working on an abyssal version of that kind of lays out a progression of how we would go towards a certain goal, in the sense that it would be ramping up in severity of what we would be doing. So, say frequency in raids or how the raids are done would be dependent on, say, one of these levels of tension. That's what I've been calling them. So, there's a lot more to it than that. It involves the police and most other groups in some capacity. And I really like the idea of that for an in-game type of role-play response, but I don't know. It's a system that I've been working on a little bit, and I like the idea. I don't know. It gives you a good visual idea of how things would go response-wise. And I just thought that was a cool little idea. So I've been working on that a little bit. You know, what fits where, how do the police fit in, what's an appropriate response for what, you know? I just thought that would be a cool little game-type mechanic for, well, roleplay. I think that'll be fun. But outside of that, I was working on this system I called contingencies, which were essentially just bigger situations. Situations is a thing for anyone who doesn't know. It's what we call, I guess you could call them like game modes almost, but for VR chat and for what we do. They would be guidelines, missions, objectives, stuff like that you would do in world, whether that's in a public instance or otherwise. You would have guidelines and guidance for what type of models you would use and what objectives you would have. So, like, a fun little example that I love to play around with is the summoning of a Cthulhu in a onesie. I love the idea of, I forget how the situation went, but it's written down. But basically, the cultists, the little Hapu cultists, would go into a world, complete some tasks and objectives. And then once they're done completing certain objectives, then they could go to a certain place, do a little summoning ritual, and then summon a Cthulhu in a onesie. I thought that would be just so fucking awesome and so cool. And it's all doable with what we have right now. So, in the end, I really like those ideas, like systems, situations, sorry, not systems. So, those are things that are going to get used eventually, and they've been done for a long time. We've played around with a couple before, like we did I think we called it the Slimeball Tour, which is the VIP one, where you'll have one VIP, maybe an admiral, maybe somebody else, whoever, and then you'd have a police detachment with them, and they would be protecting them, kind of like Secret Service almost, bodyguards. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent from what I was originally going off on. So, essentially, contingencies are just a larger version of situations. It would be a lot more than just a small world worth of content generally. And maybe it has an effect on a department or otherwise. So, contingencies, say for instance, one of them was for, say in roleplay, that we made an enemy with somebody, whether it was by our volition or theirs. There's a little system in place that I've been working on that in roleplay we would have a response and there would be this whole thing that plays out. Anyway, so that's a thing. I'm losing my point of I'm losing my point here because I'm thinking about all the different stuff now. But anyway, you guys got some ideas of different things. I'm going to stop going on about not finished systems. But yeah, recently I have been paying attention to the police a little bit more documentation-wise. And with the foundation and all that stuff too. So I'm not sure at what point I would say I'm ready to release a lot of it, because I did push a lot of it in the police originally, at least documentation wise, but it was very messy and unstructured and not very done. And now there's probably 2 or 3 times more finished than there was when I put that out, but there's still a lot to go. There's so many sections that just don't have anything written yet. And that's on top of the fuckloads that are. What? No. But, I don't know, man. We'll just have to see. Everything development-wise has been taking a long time, I know. It's been that way for a long time. Things can be slow. But, ultimately, I mean, what we've experienced with the police so far has been a lot of fun. And I've got faith that we'll get it going pretty, not necessarily quickly, because you never know what the fuck's going to happen. But when we do get it going, it's going to be good. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be a time. We've done a bunch of patrols in the past. We had 20, 30 plus man fucking, I wouldn't call them necessarily patrols in the sense of how we work now. But they were patrols, we were going around worlds and interacting with people and so on and so such. We did that once or twice with some elements. This is under the table, off the books, not community on community official. But we did it with some members of the LPD and one or two other police departments. Their names elude me for some reason. I can't think of them. But we've done a couple different community on community activities with the police. It's pretty fun. I lost my train of thought. But anyway, that's enough police stuff. That's going to be fun when we can get a lot more done and start bringing people into it. Because that Discord that I have set up for it is fucking huge. Like, you guys can only see a portion of it. But when I say it's huge, it's fucking huge. It's got a lot in there, man, that's not being used. And I don't know. I think it's going to pop off pretty quickly. When we get things going, I think people are going to be really interested in our style of doing things because in the end, we have the officers who are going to be very, peaceful and fucking wacky little janky bastards. At least that's how it is on paper. And, if people want to be officers, they can just do small patrols, say they're a little bit more anxiety based or whatever, and their personality. I mean, you could still be an officer and do stuff with that, but maybe you don't like a lot of people around. Maybe that's an issue for some reason. I don't know. I really like the idea of police stuff because you can generally do it with a small number of people if you want to, or a large group. I keep losing my train of thought where I'm going with things. But there's so much I could talk about. Enough of the police. I'll talk about some other stuff that I haven't talked about too much lately. So Abyssal Order's a thing. I've talked about it a lot. And so the deal with that, I've been working on documentation for all three communities at the same time. And Abyssal Order is the roleplay community in the sense that it's the hub for all of our roleplay outside of the police. So the Hapu Mafia, Yakuza, when those are ready, they'll be situated in there. The White Clads are inside of Hapu Society, which is a subgroup in there. So most of our future roleplay is in Abyssal Order. But a lot of our Kantai stuff is going to be in there too. So Kantai posting bullshit, channels for that kind of stuff. Make it TLDR of that server, and the point of that community is it's the roleplay brains of the group. And there's a lot of really cool ideas for it, and a lot of cool systems I've been messing around with for it too. But Abyssal Order is going to be fun. I can't say when Hapu Mafia or Yakuza is going to be usable. They're not priorities right now. But the documentation for both, I think, are pretty much there. So I think for the most part, what would be needed is just the leadership to be able to give time into it, which isn't necessary right now. There's so many other things that we need to be doing. But when they're ready to be picked up, they'll be picked up, Same thing goes with society, which is what the White Clads are under. And then, there's some other stuff in that Discord that's not coming to mind for whatever reason. But that'll be fun when we can release it. I'm just not ready to release it because what's the point right now? Because if we're not going to be using, any of the actual point for the Discord yet, then I think just keeping it in-house is best, if you know what I mean. So we'll release it when we can do Mafia stuff, Yakuza stuff, just stuff in there in general pertaining to its actual use. But that could be a little while. It might not be a little while. We'll just have to see because it's not getting very much attention from me right now. So that's about really it for Order. I've talked about police a little bit. I'm trying to think if there's anything else there. I know I keep trying to get off the topic of it, but I keep thinking about more stuff for it. It's probably good enough for now with the police stuff. It's really just up to the three of us now. And I don't know. I've been excited ever since, the idea came about for the police. And every time we've done patrols, it's been a lot of fun. I've done a bunch with me and friends testing it out, and that's been a lot of fun too. I don't know, man. It's just such a fun idea that you can do so much with. You may be restricted in some elements, sure, and you may have guidelines and general belief like any other roleplay, but it definitely shapes the experience in a way that I enjoy. You're prompted to be more friendly and interactive, more, I don't know what the word would be, exploratory almost, because I don't know, I interact with people a lot more as a police officer, and it's a lot more fun and goofy, even with friends. It's fun. I like it. And I want everybody to be able to have a similar experience to that. And hopefully, well, we can do that. VR chat's a pretty janky place. Not everything's going to be fantastic, of course. Not every interaction, but the way that people have been interacting as officers, I don't know. It's just so different. I love it. It's fucking awesome. But I don't know. We'll just have to see. Also, if anybody wants any topics or questions covered, go ahead and put them in Poicast topics and questions. I'd love to answer some stuff. If you have any questions at all, whether it's about the Discord, in-game, hell, even me, whatever the fuck you want, Barbie girl. But yeah, let's see. Other stuff to bring up. I think we've talked enough about the police and Abyssal Order stuff. We talked about the raids earlier a little bit and how we've been going back to the more organized and thought out raids. And the experience has been good. Now, I know I talked about this earlier, but I'll talk about it again a little bit. Since we've been doing that, the experience has gotten a lot better. The interaction's a lot better. Overall, we've been getting better people. We've been meeting better people. It's been more fun. And that's because we've been more picky and we haven't just been going off of people who interact like that. Because everybody interacts at some point. But we've been finding those diamonds lately and it's been pretty fun. It's been good. There's been a lot of really cool people who have been coming in lately. A lot of nice people too. So I'm happy with the changes that we've been making with the raids. I've been wanting to hang out more, and overall the experience has just been better. Having 20 or 30 Hapus do organized shenanigans is fucking awesome. Last night we had so many instances where there's just a fucking horde of little Hapus looking up at people. They're like, what the fuck? And then we all start spinning around a target or something and they get even more flipped the fuck out. Or we fucking make a summoner fucking circle around him. For a while there, we weren't doing very much like that. Dilution happens. With more new people coming into the staff, things can drift a little bit. Not necessarily lose their way, but get sidetracked a little bit. And that was noticed, and we've been doing pretty good about getting things back on track. And not just getting back on track, but moving forward. I don't know, man. I've been really happy with everything lately in regards to the raids. Just so many good interactions. I fucking love it. But that's enough about that stuff. I'm trying to think what else there really is that I need to talk about. I can't think of anything. We're probably gonna have another staff promotion or two here pretty soon. I'm not gonna say who, but hint, hint, nudge, nudge, if anybody wants to put that to vote. Anywho, I'm trying to think what else there is to talk about. Development-wise, I could talk about some more stuff for all the groups, but I don't really want to do that. I haven't really put too much time into all of that stuff this week, as I said earlier. But I have been putting time into everything, though. I've been actively spending a couple hours a day trying to figure out how the fuck to do what. You know, the real fucked up thing about all of that is I rewrite a lot of it. I don't know what the deal is, but I really like one thing, and then fucking like an hour later, I really like another thing, but I'm like almost done with this thing. So now I've just rewritten it into this thing. So now I'm reformatting everything, and I'm just like, fuck. I don't know why I'm like that, but it takes me a long time to write. I'm fucking slow. But what is finished and ready to go is definitely going to be a lot of fun. I don't know, situations is probably my favorite thing that we've got going on right now. Because it's good guidance. It reminds me of how you would, interact with a video game or something. A quest system anyway. You got your guidelines of how many of X soldier or Hapu or whatever you can be in. You need so and so many to do these things. I don't know. That makes me really happy, the thought of. But anywho, that's enough of all that stuff. Let me get a sip of my drink, and then we'll talk about a few more things. Tasty water. Let's see. I think we're done talking about police, order, and foundation stuff for the most part. I don't want this podcast to drone on too long because anything that I really, really could go in detail about, I just haven't prepared for this podcast because not enough time recently has been put into it to really differentiate the topic from a previous podcast to now, if you guys understand what I mean. Let's see. The new sticker. Oh yeah, Kit did a little edit of the Harbor Princess sticker that's in Poicast Topics and Questions. Little wee woo. It's covered in worms on a string. I thought that was cute. Let's see. Would you ever consider doing a Poyo Phasmo event? I know very little about Phasmophobia. The last time I played it, I was fucking walking through walls by accident. And I would be screaming at the ghost that the ghosts are fucking communist bastards. And I would just insult them constantly. And I would never die. And I wasn't trying to glitch through objects or anything. But I would always somehow phase through shit. Or avoid death, and it was like the most broken thing ever. All of my friends would die constantly, and I'm just in there shouting at the ghost, "Get the fuck over here and kill me, you son of a bitch! You can't even fucking you can't kill me, but you can kill all these motherfuckers. Come on, dude!" And then there were bathtubs of blood, and that was fun. Role-playing that I was drinking out of the tub while all my friends were trying to find the ghost was a horrific experience that none of them needed to know about or endure, but in the end it was wonderful, as all of them slowly died and I was just sitting there trying to be a vampire. None of the blood was real. It was all in my head. Anyway, that's a fucking... Phasmo's a dope game. It's fun, but I haven't played it since like the first couple of months of it being out. So I'm sure there's been a lot added. But I only died once, I think, in my whole time playing it. It was not the best experience. But I don't know how a Phasmo event would work, if you want to elaborate on it. Upcoming creation event, the 2.01. I don't know enough about it. I read it. I don't necessarily think it's something I can talk about on the podcast because I don't quite understand it fully. I read it, I just don't quite get it, if you know what I mean. So I'm gonna avoid talking about that one. I see a ping. I see 2 pings. Let me check these pings real quick. If you would like, I can hop in and talk about some of the ongoing event developments. I think we're going to end the podcast pretty quick. Sorry I didn't see that sooner. I see that you sent that to me like 20 minutes ago. That's my bad. But we'll talk about that more next podcast because I'll have a lot more stuff ready then too. So we can have a pretty detailed and informational podcast. But I think you guys are pretty well aware of what's going on, all that stuff. And yeah, so I'll leave it at this. If anybody's interested, if you want to become a squire and help out with the raids, we can always use more staff in that regard. You know, if you're a squire and you're interested in becoming a guardian, we can always use more staff there too. And same with the watchers, our Discord moderation. We're always really low on staff, man. We're a really big community, and for the amount of staff we have, we can be short-handed sometimes, you know? So if anybody's interested in any of that stuff, you know, hit up any of the council. And yeah, that would be awesome. Trying to think anything else. When it comes to the police, we're going to need watchers too. So if anybody's interested in either being a police trainer, the people will train the officers, or Discord moderation, hit me up. Send me a direct message. Because we're going to need it for both. But that's about it that comes to mind. There's going to be an event after the podcast. I don't know exactly what they're going to be doing, but I'm assuming World Hop, Hangout, maybe game stuff. But we can go on and on and on, but we don't need to do that. We've covered plenty of topics, and that's good enough for me. So what you guys think? How about we end this podcast on a high note and let you guys get on to the games? Well, thanks for watching. I had fun. I enjoyed myself. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the podcast too. I know it was a little short, but it be how it do, right? And next podcast, we'll talk about a lot more detailed stuff. A lot more development stuff, too. But thanks for watching, and, well, have a great day, Hapus. Poi. Bye-bye. Wow. If you're on YouTube, hello. You're the last stream to close. Wow. I can't close you. There you go. Wow.